Now, my guest today hails from the wonderful Hugh Baird College, and she has recently run a series of events celebrating inspirational women. It is International Women's Month this month, and she's also been highlighting some essential advice and support that is available in relation to sexual harassment, abuse and rape. It's my pleasure to welcome onto the show Louise Nixon. How are you, Louise?
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really privileged to be here today. This is lovely. Thank you so much.
Not at all. It's us that are privileged to have you here. You've done such fantastic things. Are you enjoying the sunshine, first of all? It's quite nice.
Do you know what? One of your colleagues just said to me, I could see you standing outside for ages. And I said, do you know what? Standing outside with sun on your face, it's gorgeous, isn't it? It's nice, isn't it? It literally puts a spring in your step.
It does.
Pardon the pun.
Now, first of all, what's your role at Hugh Baird?
So, how long have we got? So my title...
As long as you like,
My title is Head of Personal Development.
Right.
And I think the best way I can possibly kind of explain that role is pastoral. So my team are there to support and develop the individual learners at the college through... It's not about their academic element, it's about their interpersonal skills, it's developing them as human beings, which is so important. And the feedback we get from employers these days, as you can imagine, Bill, is, it's not the qualification. We just like them to not have the phone on them all day long or have the confidence to speak to people and things like that. So I work very, alongside my team to develop the individuals, but also on top of that, I organise a lot of the large external events that we also know are going to support not only the students but also the staff as well, and student voice. And I've also got I do a weekly news production as well called Hugh News, which is...
I saw that. You're absolutely brilliant on that.
It's quite funny now because lots of the young people, when I'm walking around the college, like, are you the principal? And I'm like, no, I'm just someone that does. So again, it's all about raising that communication and really reaching out to our young people and hoping to make a difference, to be perfectly honest with you.
I think you have. I mean, I was at the Inspirational Women's event, and you can see you've definitely made, the whole college, everybody has definitely made a difference. Now, I've mentioned that a couple of times now, the Inspirational Women's event. Of course, it is International Women's Month this month. So tell us about it. It wasn't just one event, was it? There was a series of events that led up to the main event as such at the end. So tell us about this.
We started this about 3 years ago,
right.
and it was started with the International Day, which is recognised generally across the world on the 8th of March. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we started discussing how we could identify and recognise this day, it just something tweaked inside me. And I just thought, there are amazing people that walk the corridors of the college, and there are inspirational women out there. So straight away we thought, well, no, this isn't just going to be a day. Let's change this around. So the aim of it was we made sure that, to the best of our ability, that every single one of our learners, male and female, had the opportunity to sit in front of an inspirational woman, ideally from their field of expertise, the employability element that they want to go into. And quite often, as you can appreciate in some areas, female engineers, female mechanics, and in the past we had the first female that's ever worked for Harley Davidson,
right,
who actually used to be one of our students, solicitors, accountants, policewomen. It's any element that we could possibly do to inspire. But we also look at that week, and the beginning of the week is called History of Women, How Far Have We Come? With a massive big question mark on it, Billy, I have to say.
Right.
And that's a session that I deliver. So this year, I think we delivered to over 300 students. Again, male and female, it's not just specifically for our female students. And we found it really important that we started talking about how far have we come. And it's quite interesting when I asked them to bring, as I have to change it, Billy, now, because I've been teaching for 19 years, so
right,
my generation of my mum and my grandma, my mum was born in 1943, so the changes for women in that time has been dramatic.
Yeah.
When I asked them about their mum's date of birth now, it's my date of birth, so it's a bit mortifying. I have to go, well, maybe go back 3 generations.
Yeah, maybe.
But we use that timeline to identify, as I say, how far have we come when we talk about the suffragettes and women's rights and equal pay. And they're always a bit astounded that it was only in the 80s that the late 70s, that you could actually get a mortgage without getting a male guarantor.
It's very, very recent history, isn't it? Really? It's very recent.
And so then they get a little bit feisty then, and they start getting interested. And we always ask the question, would you chain yourself to the House of Parliament today if you couldn't vote? And that's quite a scary thing when we talk to our 18 and above young women and all what's happened. So it's a very interesting week, and and I say it ends with what we decided to do was we wanted to recognise those people that not only are in the college, but those inspirational women to our students as well. So we open up the nominations, and as I say, each year it gets more and more. So this year we had over 260 nominations, and that's female staff nominating fellow female staff, and that's our students. And we get a lot of nans in there, Billy, a lot of inspirational nans and mums. And some of them are literally, that's all it is. We get 260. When we get to the panel, they're all like, we've got 100. They just go, my nan's boss. And every nan's boss. But we tend to, obviously, we choose those inspirational women that have gone maybe not necessarily above and beyond, but their story really shines through from the nominations.
I mean, to go through those nominations, I was at the event and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I mean, it must be so emotional even looking at the nominations, and then it must be a really difficult process then of saying which ones are going to be the ones that are recognised. Obviously everybody's recognised, but who's going to be sort of top of that particular pile?
I mean, we could have been there all afternoon, Billy. I'm sure you realise that because you so generously came to the event. There wasn't a dry eye in the house because of Sing Me Merseyside, by the way. I don't think I didn't kind of think. I knew the choir moved people all the time, but after you opened the event for us, Sing Me Merseyside, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house then. I thought, I haven't even started talking about these stories. What we do try and do, though, as a college is every single person that's been nominated, I do email, and they do get to read their nominations.
That's lovely.
Even if it is your nan's boss, or, talking about... Because quite often we have the same member of staff nominated every year as well, because their inspiration doesn't fade.
Of course.
But we have to, recognise as many people as we can. So it is... it's a week-long event. I sleep for a year afterwards, but it's definitely it just creates a real buzz. And obviously this year it wasn't just about inspirational women. We also wanted to support and raise awareness about some other things as well.
I was going to come on to that then. It was obviously a very emotional event. It was uplifting. It was really what was uplifting. And thank you for the mention for my choir. I can't see how emotional people get because my back's turned conducting and playing.
I had to, there's 3 people I had, because obviously you closed the event for us as well. And there was one of my members of staff, and I thought, I'm going to have to take her outside. And I was like, are you okay? I haven't got time for this. I need to be back on the microphone in 2 seconds. And she went, that was my mum's song. And I just thought, I know we'd taken care and consideration in choosing the songs, hadn't we, Billy? And I just think it really resonated with a lot of people, but I really wasn't expecting from the get-go. I should have put tissues on every seat, I think. Well, Never mind a programme.
It's one of our aims to bring tears to people's eyes.
Yeah, well, you certainly did.
Now, just on a more serious note, I mean, there was, like I said, lots of inspiration, lots of uplift, but also, alongside the celebration of inspirational women, you were also helping to tackle issues around sexual harassment and worse. Tell us about how you've approached this.
It's such a hard subject, and this is very much a government agenda. So working in education, there's lots of things that are identified that we know that we have to shine a light on. And basically sexual harassment, or the us wanting to raise awareness and support, has simply come from a questionnaire that the government did, and the shocking results of that questionnaire. And don't get me wrong, Billy, I quite often get on my soapbox about this because I'm very aware that the statistics that we currently hold, it's historical that we know that men who are in a same-sex relationship and it's violent not necessarily come forward. Men that are under or feeling sexually harassed within the workplace do not come forward as much as women. And also men that have been raped do not come forward. So I always feel like, please don't think I'm I think it's all bad on one side, and it's it's a terrible world out there. But the truth of the matter is, if I ask a group of young women, do they feel comfortable to walk home in the dark? Not one of them says yes. And it's also a lot to do through the questionnaire. We talked about every single woman by the age of 35 has been sexually harassed in some way, and that can come from an inappropriate comment in work to the worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. So I've already done a series of workshops at the beginning of the academic year, but I always think there's nothing more hard-hitting than a human being telling their story. So what we did was we reached out again to the women that I am privileged to walk the corridors with every single day, and I asked staff who would either be willing to talk about a lived experience or women that would be comfortable to be on camera and give those hard-hitting facts.
Yeah.
And I've never been so proud of a piece of work that I've done. I really, really haven't. We didn't show the lived experience piece of work on the day because I couldn't have put anybody through that. That's not what that day was about. But the lived experience piece of work that's been shared obviously through our social media, every single one of our students have seen it in sessions, is a member of staff who talked about when she was unfortunately raped when she was 7 years old at school. But she does talk about it as it's her survival story. And it's so positive at the end because this would have been over 40 years ago when this happened. And she talks about how education, she came back into that room and the teacher didn't even notice she'd gone. I can't even imagine that now. No. And it wouldn't happen. So we do talk about the support. It is hope out there, and safeguarding within education now, safeguarding awareness across the board. I think women having a voice, and also within that week we RASA, who we work extremely closely with, who are just a phenomenal charity and establishment, they came in and did a series of work that week as well. And I mean, as I say, it's not about I don't want students to, I don't want to open a can of worms for young people, but interestingly enough, every single one of those sessions that we used those media pieces, at the end of, we had at least 4 young women that we needed to safeguard, and we've opened that conversation.
It's actually, you've said some very, very shocking statistics there. For me, sort of like saying that, every single person that did the questionnaire had experienced some form of sexual harassment in their lifetimes. It's absolutely awful. But you've done some great work there. You've supported people through some very, very difficult issues. It's there as well for them. You've celebrated some very, very inspirational women, and there were some fabulous stories. I was trying to hold back the emotion myself that day, and it was just absolutely wonderful. It was an honour to be part of it. I know you've mentioned my choir there. I wasn't going to mention that, but you've mentioned them for me. And I must say, my choir manager as well, Wendy Williamson as well.
Unbelievable lady.
And, because normally I'm gabbing on at events, and I said, no, it's not.
I was warned of that, Billy.
I was warned about you as well, Louise, to be honest with you. And I thought, no, we're going to sort of let's hear her story. And it was a lovely story, she told. It was very, very emotional. So I must thank her for that.
Perfect way to end the event.
It was just, it summed
brought
it
together.
So if we want to find out more about, you, Hugh Baird, where do we go to? We are...
social media everywhere, isn't it? Unfortunately, I don't know if that's unfortunately or fortunately.
No, it's fortunate.
I think if you do want to know what's going on at Hugh News, at Hugh Baird is Hugh News, and I think if you go into YouTube, simply type in Hugh News, you will see weekly of everything that's happening. Not just inspirational women, the work we do with the community, the amazing things that those students do. I think so often we think of that little college in Bootle, and I don't think we always realise what happens within the corridors of Bootle.
Louise Nixon, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Billy. It's been a privilege. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
This Sunday from 5:30, Liverpool are just one game away from another trip to Wembley.